Bonjour, bonsoir, le métier, bienvenue sur cette découverte de Stanley Parable Deluxe édition. C'est une version de Stanley Parable qui est sortie très récemment et qui apparemment ajoute un très gros contenu au jeu d'origine. Pour ceux qui ne le connaissent pas, le jeu d'origine, je vous le rappelle très succinctement, c'est un jeu un petit peu mindfuck où vous contrôlez Stanley, en fait, un employé de bureau qui se retrouve perdu, en fait, perdu. Il se retrouve tout seul, en fait, dans ses bureaux à lui. Il est complètement abandonné et il y a une voix, un narrateur qui lui dit, en fait, quoi faire. Et tout le mindfuck du jeu, c'est dans cet esprit-là, c'est est-ce que, sachant que le narrateur vous dit Stanley va faire ça, est-ce que vous allez suivre le narrateur ou non? Donc des fois il y a des effets de pirouette où le narrateur en fait il avait prévu le fait que vous n'allez pas l'écouter. Des fois à force de ne pas l'écouter, de faire exactement l'inverse de ce qu'il dit, au bout d'un moment le narrateur il s'adresse directement à vous, il dit quand même tu fais chier. Il y a des trucs, c'est complètement délirant. C'est un jeu qui était super drôle et apparemment ils ont rajouté plein de contenu. Assez en fait pour que le jeu quand même coûte 20 balles même si vous l'avez déjà. Hein, donc... J'espère que ça en vaut que le jeu en vaut la chandelle. Allez, please choose a screen and subtitle language. A screen. Je pouvais choisir mon écran. Français. On met les sous-titres en français. Vous pouvez choisir une langue pour les textes et les sous-titres. Français. Ah oui, d'accord. Confirmé. Avez-vous déjà joué à Stanley Parable? Oui. On va faire une suite. On va pas reprendre tout. Déplacer le curseur parce que je regarde sur la peine visible. Ah. L'ordinateur soit à peine visible. Ah, c'est bien, là. Entrez l'heure actuelle. Oh, il va y avoir des mindfuck dans ce jeu. Il va se foutre de ma gueule. Il est quelle heure, là? 21h48. Il est 9h49. On va mettre, paf. Ça. Ouf, confirmé. Les paramètres d'accessibilité sont accessibles depuis le menu principal. C'est impressionnant d'accessibilité quand même. Allez, de Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Edition, c'est parti. Ok. On va peut-être un peu plus fort. Voilà. Alors, je vous le dis tout de suite, hein, c'est vraiment de l'humour anglais. Hein, on est sur un jeu anglais. C'est de l'humour anglais. Donc si vous aimez ça, vous allez être régalé. Vous allez vous régaler et être régalé. Être régalien. C'est quoi vertical, appliquer. Vas-y, applique. Ouf. Ça, c'est très bien. Voilà. Oui, c'est en 1080. Let's go! Ouais, let's go. Pardon, on y va. Commencez le jeu! Yes. J'adore ce jeu. J'adore voir ce qu'il va nous donner.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Yes. Ah, QWERTY. Jeu raciste. Oh, il est beaucoup plus rapide qu'avant.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Voilà.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Voilà.
No
Alors,
matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
donc j'imagine qu'on va retrouver les fins classiques du jeu. Hein, j'aurais pu rester dans le mur. En fait, c'est un jeu, voilà. C'est pour ceux, si vous ne connaissez pas, c'est un jeu où tout l'intérêt de ce jeu, c'est qu'il y a 20 millions de fins. Il y a 20 millions de fins. Il y avait une fin. Si je restais dans le bureau 10 secondes sans rien faire, bah, le bureau il se refermait, c'était une fin. Il y a plein de fins partout et c'est super drôle. Chaque truc est super fun. Est-ce qu'on va retrouver... Ah ouais, il y a des fins, elles étaient super marrantes. On va essayer d'en chercher de nouvelles. Je crois qu'il y a une... je sais pas si j'ai fait un Stanley Parable sur ma chaîne. Je crois que oui. Voilà, et c'est là où le jeu commence vraiment.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ah, à gauche ou à droite? Moi j'ai envie de dire... Allez, nique.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Va admirer. Mais incroyable.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had
Ça
really
le
been
saoule.
worth the detour
Ça
after
le
all,
saoule,
just
le
to
gars.
spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Et ils sont c'est un peu plus soigné les... C'est quoi? Ouais. Oh, je peux crouch.
Yes, really worth it being here in the room.
Ça le saoule.
A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Ah ouais. Ah ouais, elle indique la... Non, elle indique pas la bonne heure, l'horloge. Elle indique pas la bonne heure.
At this point,
Dommage.
Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
Ta mère. Attends. Ou est-ce qu'au bout d'un moment, il dit plus rien?
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue. But when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
Jusqu'où on va le faire chier? Jusqu'où on va le faire chier en restant dans ce... Plus rien? Et quoi sur le truc? Fuel. Fuel. Hein, c'est bon? Allez, on sort.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Jusque-là, c'est que les pièces classiques. On peut aller tout droit, on peut le réécouter en retournant sur le chemin normal, on peut redescendre après. C'est quoi? Allez.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section,
Elle est là
walked
aussi.
straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Voilà, et donc là, en fait, on retourne sur le chemin classique. Ok, donc là, voilà, on va faire une petite... on va chercher, en fait, les nouvelles choses.
Feeling a wave of
Whiteboard
disbelief,
manager.
Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Get Chris out of the broom closet. Mais c'est que de l'humour partout. Il y a des conneries partout. Size of demography. Teenager. A lot of %. Ouais, dans les post-review. Ouais, bon, bref. Everyone is unique. You must have all. Bon, allez, vas-y, c'est trop con. Je me casse. Ah, il y a le broom closet. Oh. Ah ouais. Ah, on va faire le truc du broom closet.
So he turned around and got back on track.
Oh, bah, je reste dedans. On va fermer la porte. Je ferme la porte.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow. Just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here. It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Sweet FA.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Et il s'adresse à nous maintenant.
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it. Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favourite." I hope your friends find this concerning. Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Ah oui, carrément.
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right. When you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Voilà, je crois qu'il dit plus rien à ce moment-là. Il est génial.
Second player, it's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you.
Ta gueule. Alors voilà, ce jeu, il est rempli de trucs comme ça. Mais rempli. Il y en a plein partout. Là, je suis juste rentré dans un placard. Ce jeu, il est génial.
Coming
Alors,
to a staircase,
normalement, on est censé
Stanley
monter.
walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Il n'y a rien. Voilà, on atterrit chez le boss. Executive bathroom. Et un chiotte. The feeling. Money is for stealing. But not yours, of course. Say that's a lovely purse. Ok. Rien faire. Pour l'instant, ça a l'air d'être exactement comme le normal. C'est le Stanley Parable de base. Mais vraiment exactement le même. Pour l'instant, il y a aucun chemin de plus, de moins. Je serais curieux de savoir ce qu'ils ont vraiment rajouté.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
C'est débile. Ouais.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Ça, c'est le jeu normal. Ah, qu'est-ce qu'ils ont rajouté de plus? Je veux le savoir, je suis curieux, là. Pour l'instant, c'est le jeu normal.
Descending deeper into the building,
On va faire une fin classique et on va voir si ça change quelque chose.
It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Là-bas, il y a une autre fin aussi. Escape. J'ai l'impression que le son, ils ont fait une refonte du son, hein.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Oh! C'est nouveau, ça!
Aha! You've made it to the bottom of the mind control facility. Welcome! You see, back when the Stanley Parable first launched in 2013, getting to the bottom of the mind control facility was a bug that we simply didn't catch during development. And you all sent us lots of photos of it on Twitter and acted very superior about it. And you're all very, very clever, good for you. Anyway, when it came time to update the game, we knew that we had to do something about this little goof of ours, so here you go. New content. You can call it the bottom of the mind control room ending, if that enhances your perception of the value of these updates. Isn't that what you crave? New content? Always more content, more content, more. And I'm here to give it to you. I'm here to make it seem like we really covered every nook and cranny of the game, with secrets and Easter eggs. How about this? We wrote a new piece of music just for this section. You won't hear it anywhere else in the game. It's a secret that's just for you. That's how special you are. We call this track Good Job You've Made It to the Bottom of the Mind Control Facility.
Ça va être une musique d'ascenseur à la con.
Good job, you did it. Good job.
Oh non.
2, 1. Good job, you made it to the bottom of the mind control facility. Jumped on the catwalk.
Je peux rien faire, y a rien.
Careful. It used to be a bug, but now it's an ending. Now it's an ending. I believe in you. I believe in your ability to cross this barrier and chase your dreams. The railings don't mean anything. Good job, you did it. 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 Good job, you did it.
La vieille New Wave pourrie.
Good job, you did it.
Ta gueule! Ah! Et c'est tout! Et il me remet au début! Oh non! Oh putain! C'était vraiment une fin. Ok, donc c'est un... Tiens, j'ai pas envie. Je peux fermer la porte, voilà, j'ai pas envie.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go any way except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive.
Oui,
soon,
oui, bon, c'est bon.
Very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer.
Oh.
Now it's even closer.
Ça flotte.
Here it comes.
Voilà. Et ça redémarre. C'était une fin. Ça flotte. Le clavier, il y a tout qui flotte au-dessus du bureau. T'as la peau qui flotte. Alors, il y avait une fin aussi à travers la fenêtre. Est-ce qu'elle y est encore? Elle était super dure à avoir cette fin. Ah, on peut pas sauter dans le jeu, donc il faut forcer, il faut y aller en... Voilà. Vous pouvez passer par la fenêtre. Hop là!
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
No.
Ah, then in that case, we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different?
No.
Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer?
Oui.
Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now, think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? And this is rich. Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact,
succès déverrouillé, vous ne pouvez pas sauter. Obtenir votre premier succès. Succès déverrouillé, obtenir votre premier succès.
I've built up the other option so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
À l'enfer. Ah, il va rien me faire. Il va me laisser dans ma merde. Oh non. Vraiment, je dois restart moi-même. Oh, fais chier. Ça rend fou. Mais ce jeu, il est grave cool. Tiens, y'a pas le bip là de... Le truc de l'ordinateur. Faut éteindre des ordis ou en allumer d'autres. Je crois qu'il faut faire des inputs. Voilà. Awaiting input. Voilà, input received. Et là, il faut faire ça 5 fois, je crois, de mémoire. Attends, je vais... Oh, de toute façon, non, mais ça, je la connais, cette fin-là. On va essayer d'en chercher d'autres. Allez, on va rester à droite. Voilà. On va traverser la salle de réunion. Et on va encore aller à l'encontre de sa demande. Incroyable, ouais.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Non! Fuck the police. Hop. Alors.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Ouais. Alors là, il n'y a rien de plus. Voilà. Donc là, il y avait une fin si on tombait, voilà, si on se laissait... voilà. Will cause death. Penalty for misuse of cargo lift, $1000. Penalty for jumping off the cargo lift, $5000. Voilà, parce qu'on peut soit utiliser le machin et aller jusqu'au bout, soit descendre avant. Ah, cette porte-là, tiens. Non. C'est méga perturbant. Quand j'appuie sur une touche de mon clavier, ça fait un bruit de touche de clavier. Putain, l'enfer. Vas-y. Hop, et là je m'en vais.
Oh well, look who's got cold feet. Sorry to break it to you, Stanley, but that lift isn't coming back.
Ah merde!
You best either get comfortable right here on this platform, or test your luck by jumping to the floor below. You know what? Looking at it now, it's not that far to the bottom floor. I bet you can make it.
Ah, enculé. Enculé. Oh!
Come on. I'm sure you'll survive the jump.
C'est
Don't
nouveau,
tell
ça.
me you're scared. That's not the Stanley I know. Do it! Do it! Do it!
Ah! Oh! C'est nouveau. Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça?
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office.
Le jeu qui bug.
So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path. You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
Eh oh! Oh! Oh, c'était une fin! Oh non, je m'attendais à plus! Je l'ai rendu triste.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him.
Input. Input received. Je peux pas essayer d'ouvrir une autre porte. Parce que là, il y a le truc de la Adventure Line.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Non. Oh, est-ce qu'ils ont amélioré la...
Stanley clicked on literally every single door in the office, because he doesn't pick up well on cues from his environment.
Je vais voir s'ils ont amélioré la fin... la fin REKT. La fin... Ah, attendez, il faut que j'arrive à faire un truc. Voilà. Donc on fait la porte de gauche. Alors pour faire la fin REKT, la fin... sans aller de la terre, là où je sais pas quoi. Fusée.
Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ah, il faut arriver à sortir avant que les portes se referment. Ah! Ah!
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover...
Frustré. Merde. Mais je veux voir s'ils l'ont amélioré, parce qu'avant, en fait, cette fin-là, elle avait un bug.
Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office?
Ah merde, j'ai pas vu. C'était pas son bureau? Ah merde. Ah mais j'ai raté le input, je suis sûr que c'était... Ah merde. Ah. Donc ouais, en fait la fin du... La fin qu'on va essayer de voir là, en fait, elle était buggée. Il devait y avoir une espèce de cinématique de fin. L'écran il se splittait à moitié en deux et puis le jeu il redémarrait. Sans vraiment...
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Sans vraiment d'explication. Donc je vais voir s'ils l'ont retouché, s'ils l'ont amélioré. Ah!
The moment
Yes. Ça va y aller. Un peu plus. Ah, ça change. Money in the morning, money in the evening, money for the breakfast, money crisp. Ok. Il y a un truc publicitaire. Non, ça c'est toujours fermé. Du coup, je vais tester des trucs. Hein. Ça c'est toujours fermé. Donc pour avoir la fin, on est censé revenir en arrière au tout début. En bas, la porte elle est fermée. Ce bordel. Si la porte elle est fermée. Donc là on est censé revenir dans le bureau de Stanley. Le Broom Closet qui est toujours là mais le narrateur il est plus là. La porte elle est fermée. J'ai l'impression que c'est ouais, ça va faire exactement la même chose. Surname access. Il va rien avoir de nouveau, je pense. Ouais, c'est ça. C'est la fin. Rocket Launcher. Oh! Ah, avant, il y avait des escaliers ici. What? Ah. You are now leaving. Ouais, c'est ça, voilà. C'est quoi ça? Rien. C'est ça, et on monte des escaliers petit à petit. Je peux pas prendre l'ascenseur? Non. Escape Pod Bay, c'est ouais, 760. Et donc voilà, et on monte jusqu'au 760e étage. Et on voit rien. Je vous jure, s'il y a un screamer, je me chie dessus. Littéralement. « 157... » Et là, j'ai un plan stylé dans la tête de chacun. Les mecs sont en train petit à petit de s'éloigner de l'écran, de plisser les yeux, de regarder un autre écran. Ça y est, on y est. Escape on Lunch Bay. Escape. Reculons parce que je sais pas où je vais. Y a rien devant moi. D'accord, et ils l'ont laissé bugger en fait. C'est-à-dire que là, on a même plus... avant, il y avait un truc qui s'ouvrait, on entrait dedans, ça se fermait, et l'image, elle se pétait en deux. Là, on a même plus rien, là. C'est juste qu'on avance dans le noir. Ok. Oh, la
all
musique.
of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Oh,
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Une petite
No
aussi.
matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Ah, la musique est cool. Moi, je te regarde. Ça me fait penser à Medieval.
When Stanley came to a set of
Cette
two
ambiance.
open doors, he
Alors,
entered
qu'est-ce
the
qu'on
door
fait
on
du
his
coup maintenant?
left.
Je vais faire tous les trucs à gauche. Il y a moins de... Je crois qu'il y a moins de fins vers la gauche. Donc là, on a à peu près tout essayé.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
On a fait le
Feeling a
Broom
wave of
Closet.
disbelief, Stanley
Rien
decided
derrière.
to go up to his boss's office Hoping he might
Alors, on n'a
find
pas fait le
coming to
bas.
a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to
Elle
his
n'existait pas
boss's
cette porte
office.
avant, je crois. Elle n'existait pas cette porte avant, je crois. Peut-être que... Non. Bon, là, ça va pas marcher. Le coup du sortir, re-rentrer. Ça, c'est la fin hallucination. Ouais, non, là, la porte, elle se fermera beaucoup trop loin.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that.
Ouais, super
And in
longue
such a
cette fin. Je
competitive
sais pas si on l'a
economy,
fait.
why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations.
Ouais, donc non, c'est exactement la même fin qu'avant. Donc là, il n'y a rien de nouveau. Si on passe par là... Ah tiens, input await. Voilà. J'ai fait tous les inputs. C'est la fin Heaven. Celle-là, elle n'a pas changé. Ah, sa gueule. Avec des boutons partout. Ça active petit à petit, hein. Oh! Si, il se réactive petit à petit, ouais. Ça a aucun sens. Ah bon, bref. Qu'est-ce qu'on va faire, du coup? Qu'est-ce qu'il pourrait... Ouais, donc là, maintenant, je peux retourner là-dedans quand je veux.
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself, that's all I need.
Alors, vous savez ce
If
qu'on
I
va faire?
can make it through this door, I can make it through them all.
On va regarder les succès. Parce qu'avant, dans les succès, il y avait plein d'indices sur comment trouver des nouvelles fins et tout. Alors, il y a une fin, c'est 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, c'est plein de 8. Attends. Terminez le jeu, finissez de Stanley Parable, succès test à ignorer, test achievement description, replace this. Heureux de vous revoir, quittez le jeu et relancez-le. Ah, il y a plein de succès à la con aussi, ouais. Engagement, jouer à Stanley Parable pendant tout un mardi. Hibou. Salut Hibou divin. 430, cliquez 5 fois sur la porte 430. Alors ça, on peut le faire maintenant. Ça, c'est un truc marrant, mais ça c'était déjà dans le truc. Soir bon. Salut Hibou, comment vas-tu? Sprint, terminé Stanley Parable en moins de 4 minutes et 22 secondes. Temps de chargement non compris. Champion du monde de paramétrage. Placez tous les curseurs de réglage du menu sur tous les chiffres disponibles. À l'enfer. Va jouer dehors. Ne jouez pas à Stanley Parable pendant 10 ans.
It's part of a game. He likes to see how long he can go without dying. So far, he's doing excellent. And if he just stays right where he is, I'm sure he'll keep up that good momentum. Let's
Ça, mon grand-père
observe
préféré.
the genius at work.
Putain, énorme. De pas jouer à Stanley Parable pendant 10 ans. C'est débile. Oh, il y a un joueur qui l'a fait, engagement, jouer à Stanley Parable pendant tout un mardi. Putain. Ah, va jouer dehors, il y a 3,3% des gens qui l'ont. Ça veut dire qu'à mon avis, on peut modifier les paramètres du truc dans... On peut modifier les paramètres de l'horloge ou ce genre de choses. Et ça doit marcher. Alors apparemment, il y aurait plein de nouvelles fins, mais je vois pas trop ce qu'on a de nouveau là pour l'instant.
When Stanley came to...
Attends, ils aiment bien cacher les trucs dans les paramètres aussi. Présentation. Ah. Possibilité de jouer réaliser, effacer les données de sauvegarde. Effacer les données de sauvegarde? Chelou. Avant, il y avait un truc. C'était tu l'activais pour avoir un succès. Ok. Qu'est-ce qu'ils attendent par...
This story of a man...
Ah, il y a le narrateur qui chante derrière. Je sais pas si j'ai un succès. Non. Ah mais il faut faire ça avec tous les curseurs. Oh c'est trop chiant. Résolution, c'est ok, commande. Il n'y a pas de... Commande simplifie. Comment ça? Ok. Good job. Ouais, merci. Non, mais il n'y a rien de plus là-dedans. Je vais aller au escape pod, voir s'il y a des trucs... Au escape pod, à la sortie escape. Non, on va le faire une fois normal. On va terminer le jeu une fois normalement. Voir s'il n'y a pas un truc qui se débloque avec ça.
Stanley decided to go up to his
la musique Good Job, ouais c'est ça. C'est quoi déjà le mot de passe? C'était 2-8.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean, he wondered? Desperate for answers, he began turning the room over looking for clues that might unravel the situation, until at last he discovered a keypad behind the boss's desk. But alas, no code. For this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing.
Ils ont plus joué avec les ondes dans ce
passageway.
Allez, Zou, on fait la fin normale. Au moins une fois. Qui connaissait pas Stanley Parable ici? Parable.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Trop bien. Si j'ai pu te faire connaître ce jeu, c'est trop bien. Ça, vous connaissiez pas? Oh. J'en avais parlé, je crois qu'on avait fait les classements des jeux.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold?
On peut redescendre encore.
Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Allez, on va percer le mystère. On va résoudre le mystère.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Ah. Il y en a un qui a pas de nom.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Allez.
No. He refused to believe it.
Ah, peut-être en essayant de sortir du truc.
His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Rien. Ah.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Allez!
Blackness, and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his.
Attendez, on peut monter là sur ce carton là.
It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
J'ai l'impression que je peux rien faire de plus. Donc en fait, il va falloir chercher des alternatives sur ce map. Voilà, et puis là, du coup, c'est la fin normale.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin.
Enfin, c'est la fin normale, c'est la fin quand on suit tout ce que le narrateur nous dit.
This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
C'est beau. C'est beau, c'est beau. Je que ça les voyez, terminer le jeu. Voilà. Donc, qu'est-ce qu'on va pouvoir avoir? Il y avait une grande question à un moment. C'est beau. Il y avait une grande question à un moment.
Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room, and from then on, he would never be alone ever again.
La phrase.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ce serait marrant qu'à un moment ils nous disent à droite.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Ouais, donc il y avait un truc, on va refaire exactement la même chose. Sauf qu'il y avait une...
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Il y avait un truc très qui intriguait tout le monde, c'était les boutons qu'il y avait si on faisait on sur Mind Control Facility.
Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Mais ça y était déjà ça. Quand on rentrait le code trop vite, il fait ça. Allez. Chier.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Il n'y a pas d'autre passage. Genre la porte qui se rouvre. Non. Ok. Alors est-ce qu'on fait l'escape? Je vais retenter le Mind Control Facility. Là. Voir s'il n'y a pas un truc à faire là-dedans. Voir si on peut pas monter quelque part.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control
Il y a l'escape là-bas. Est-ce que la porte se ferme? Se ferme derrière nous ou pas? Elle se ferme derrière nous la porte, d'accord.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television.
Ah, je peux pas passer, c'est chiant. C'est vrai qu'il y a la fin aussi où on va là-haut. C'est marrant.
Did he have the strength to find out?
Tellement de fin dans ce jeu, c'est fou. Ça m'étonne parce que j'ai vu plein d'images sur le trailer. De trucs que j'avais jamais vus. Ah, et on peut tomber aussi par ici. D'accord. Ah, il nous laisse quand même plein d'endroits où tomber. Oh, ah non. J'avais l'impression que je pouvais monter et
This
descendre
mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe it
l'ascenseur.
couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Toi. Ah non! Il y a un mur invisible. À partir du moment où je rentre à l'intérieur, je peux pas en sortir.
In someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Et où? C'est là.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy.
C'est tous les boutons là qu'on peut bouger.
Walking, eating, working. All of it
On avait essayé de chercher en fait un truc. Je suis sûr qu'ils ont dû rajouter quelque chose avec ça.
Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible
Ah, ça c'est nouveau ça, cette console là. À mon avis, ils ont rajouté un truc avec ça. Bah là, regardez, il y a même une porte. Ok. Donc en fait, quand on l'active, il va y avoir un timer de 3 minutes. Et j'imagine que le jeu va nous demander de faire certaines actions. Il y a un bouton blanc là-haut, le 5 ici. Vous allez voir, vous allez très vite comprendre. Et avant, en fait, on pouvait faire n'importe quoi, ça changeait rien.
And when at last he found the source of... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go. Turn the controls...
Attendez, je vais juste... Non! Putain, mais je me suis trompé de... Ah, je voulais faire paramètres, pas quitter. Putain.
Bravo!
Ah ouais, non mais attends, en fait, je peux pas... Ah, je peux pas rechanger le... Capacité d'arrière-plan et c'est titre. Je voulais augmenter le... la luminosité parce qu'on voit vraiment rien là en fait. Oh merde! Putain, on va se retaper tout le blabla. Ah, fait chier. Oui, cliquez pour passer.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Et un solitaire. Solitaire, meilleur jeu de Windows quand même.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Meilleur jeu de Windows. Devant Sea of
There was
Thieves.
not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his
tu fais partie de cette élite.
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ta gueule. Tu fais partie de cette élite des gens qui ont compris les règles du démineur. C'est quoi comme jeu? Bah je sais pas, regarde en bas.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah blah blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes.
Oh yes, il me fait accélérer.
Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Quelle surprise.
Quelle surprise. Ok. Ah trop bien, merci. Cool. Fait accélérer un petit peu. Pourquoi les gens ils posent toujours des questions quand ils ont les réponses sous les yeux? C'est fou ça quand même. Bedrock, enfin. C'est pas la première fois que t'arrives sur Twitch. Tu sais qu'il y a le nom du jeu en bas.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Bouton. Le bouton.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
Un jeu humoristique à fin
What
multiple.
horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to
Stanley
find out?
Parable. Quel type de jeu? Ah, tu connais pas Stanley Parable? Ah ouais, mais grand jeu.
Now the monitors jumped
Grand jeu parmi les jeux indés.
revealed.
Et du coup, c'est une version
Stanley's co-workers.
Une version améliorée qui est sortie de Stanley Parable, la Stanley Parable Deluxe édition. Non, c'est ça, Ultra Deluxe. Il ajoute encore de nouvelles fins, qui est sortie la semaine dernière. Ça, c'est ta mère. Ça, c'est ma bite. Oui, c'est ça. C'est quoi cette bouteille de lait?
Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Allez, let's go.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't
J'ai
accept
dit papa, comment on fait les bébés?
in someone else's control. Never. It was unthinkable.
Never.
Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions.
Ah bah, ta question c'est quoi comme jeu? Tu m'as pas dit quel type de jeu c'est. Donc c'est quoi comme jeu? Oui, bah ma réponse est t'as qu'à lire, connard. Évidemment.
As the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again
Comment ça c'est pas
exert its
étonnant dans le
terrible
Tixi?
power
Eh oh.
over another human life.
Paf.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control?
J'attends qu'ils mettent le timer.
Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes.
2. Avant c'était 3.
Things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star.
Oh, il y a une porte là.
It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires.
Press any key to send. Control disabled.
What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy
Et là, ça mène à ça.
Moments until the bomb
5.
goes off.
5.
But what precious moments each one of them is.
5.
More time
La porte s'est fermée.
About me, where we're going.
Il y avait une porte.
What all this means.
Il veut que j'appuie sur 5. C'est où le 5?
What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A
Là.
moment of solace before you're obliterated. All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll
Après.
tell you exactly what happened to them. I
5
erased
encore.
them. I turned off
Attends,
the
ça a rien
machine.
fait,
I
là.
set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone.
Rien.
Other times, I let the office sink into the ground,
Attends, 5
swallowing
verres, genre.
everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this though,
Continue,
this
provide,
version of
continue,
events
yes.
has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make
Green
sense of
2.
everything and
Hein?
take back the control wrested away from you, it's
Incorrect.
quite rich.
Ah.
I almost hate to see it go.
Il y a bien un
But I'm
truc
sure
alors.
whatever I come up with on the next
Un
go
rouge.
around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with
Ah.
it. I'm going to put some extra time on the
Il y a bien un
clock
truc
right
maintenant avec ça.
These are precious additional
Incorrect.
seconds, Stanley.
4
Time
jaune.
doesn't grow on trees.
Voilà, musique.
Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it
Si
that
j'appuie
you
juste
have no
le
idea
REKT.
where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw
Attends,
that
mais il m'a fait
timer
gagner
that
une minute,
something in
non?
this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These number buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think
Control
that,
disabled,
Stanley?
enable back to
That this
the... Oh
video game
merde.
can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? But you really believe there's an answer?
4. Je sais pas où il est le
How
4.
many times
Il est
will you
là-haut?
replay this bit, looking desperately for a solution? 10? 100? 1,000? I look forward to finding out and to watching the bomb go off each time you fail.
4.
Just you and me in the retching explosion of fire and metal over and over and over for all of eternity.
C'est 4 encore.
And Stanley died again. And Stanley died again. And Stanley died again.
Ah, il a mis un truc rouge.
Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle.
Ah,
30
il met la
seconds
pression.
until a
Hein.
big boom and then nothing. No ending here.
Goodbye, employee 427. Ah merde.
Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
Boum. Ça c'est une fin, ça. La table avec plusieurs boutons verts, ça fait quoi? Je sais pas, j'ai pas vu. Ah, c'est le jeu au moment où tu arrives dans une salle avec plein de boutons et tu montres le clavier pour continuer. Oui, voilà, exactement.
All of his
Ouais, tu
coworkers
connais
were
le jeu.
gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Il y a une
Perhaps
porte.
he had
Alors, il y avait
simply
une porte qui
missed
était
the memo.
ouverte. C'est nouveau, ça. Oh, new content.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Oh. Oh. New content. Du nouveau contenu. C'est un petit tour en... C'est un manège?
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers.
Oui.
After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful.
Mais
I'm
carrément.
very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Oui. Je peux revenir dessus? Non. Toujours tout testé dans ce jeu.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Ouais.
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've
Oui.
never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if, Oh, okay. Let's see the content.
Ah.
Give me the content, Stanley.
Oh. Chou.
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Oh! Je peux sauter! Enfin! Et je peux pas sauter une fois que je suis dehors. Est-ce que je peux... Oh! Oui. C'est tout? Vas-y, je vais jusqu'au bout. Ouais. Je peux plus sauter. Il me laisse plus sauter. C'est branché où?
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
J'espère. Oh. Putain, d'accord. En fait, ils vont nous montrer.
Another elevator.
Ils vont nous
Stanley,
montrer tout ce que
I
les
have
joueurs
to
ont
say,
reproché au jeu, en
initial
fait.
impressions
Oh, on
of
peut
this
pas
game are
sauter.
not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If there's new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh wait, there's more.
Oh.
Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Ouais. Thank you for enjoying the new content.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Oh, il y a bien... Ah non, mais vraiment, c'était une fin. C'est pourri. Ah non, c'est nul, ça. Oh. Oh. Ah oui. Ah non, il y a du nouveau contenu, là. Oh. Et je vous montre quand même le tableau de...
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Ouais. Quoi? Qu'est-ce que c'est? Et quoi? Coffee nut. Ouais. Je vais tomber. Ouf. Oh. Y'a quoi? On va jouer à Doom, on va jouer à Half-Life.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Okay. Take a look.
Qu'est-ce que c'est? Oh. Stylé. Oh, stylé!
I call it the memory zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
Ah ouais! Ah ouais, vieux! Bah 2013, ouais, il l'a dit tout à l'heure.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched?
Ouais,
back then,
je m'en
video
souviens.
games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something.
C'était un mode d'Half-Life à la base. C'était un mode d'Half-Life gratuit à la base. C'était complètement différent de ce truc-là. Et ouais, c'était ça la page à l'époque. Oh à l'ancienne, ouais, 2013. So long. Il est 20h13. Our first kiss, my first car. Ouais, c'est vrai qu'ils ont eu pas mal de prix en plus. Non, ça c'est une connerie. Oui, c'est vrai qu'ils ont eu pas mal de prix, le festival du game, hein, du jeu indépendant et tout. Waouh, Trip Down Memory Lane. Ah bah oui. Ouais, c'était... Alors ça, c'était la démo, le jeu était déjà fini. C'était C'était après le mode de Half-Life. Go outside, don't play for 5 years. Impossible to get this... Oui, il y avait ça. Oh putain, ça dans l'original, il y était. Ça avait frustré tout le monde. Dans le premier Stanley Parable, il y avait un succès, c'était Impossible à avoir. Ce succès est impossible à avoir. Il y avait un succès, on pouvait pas avoir le 100% dans Stanley Parable. Ça avait frustré tout le monde. Ouais, ok, bah tous les trucs où ils ont été nominés. C'est good. Ouais. Ah ouais. C'est tout mignon en plus comme truc. In Loving Memory, Little Stanley. C'est quoi? Oh! Un petit hamster? Il y avait un petit hamster qui s'appelle Stanley. Ouh. C'est tout mignon comme fin, ça.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless
c'est quoi? C'est la fin. C'est la fin mouron? C'est la fin autosuçage? C'est quoi comme fin, ça? Ah ouais, il y avait une fin où on pouvait jouer à Minecraft. On la fera peut-être tout à l'heure. Elle était marrante cette fois-là. Oui, on voyait Minecraft dans le jeu. Waouh, c'est le codage. Je peux descendre. Je peux descendre. Combat. Memory zone. Ah! En maintenance. Ok. Oh. The greatest wealth is memory. Ouais.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game.
Il doit connaître ça,
Don't you
Chiu.
get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else.
Chiu, il est dans le
It
coin.
didn't need new
Tu connais tout ça?
content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
I like work, I like hate, my boss. D'accord. Ah, il a mis quelques logiciels apparemment qu'il utilisait quand il avait fait Stanley Parable 1. Source SDK. Apparemment, hein, ça se trouve c'est des conneries. Là, il y a... Carpet Textures. Ah, mais comment je peux faire? The Serious Room. Oui, il y avait The Serious Room en oui. Dans la fin dans le jeu original, il y avait The Serious Room. C'était une chambre. Ah non, attends, je confonds. Non, si, oui, c'est celle-là. The Serious Room, je crois que c'était une pièce où on pouvait y accéder. C'était une fin. Pour l'avoir, il fallait rentrer dans le code du jeu. Je crois que si on pouvait lancer un... Peut-être plus maintenant. Peut-être enlever. Mais on pouvait faire afficher une console. Et rentrer 2-3 lignes de code. Et en les rentrant, on avait une fin spéciale. Et c'était une fin où le narrateur était insulté. Il fait, alors, tu rentres dans le code du jeu, tu le dis, c'est pas bien. Et c'était The Serious Room. Comment je fais? Ah.
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Oh
no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well.
Ah, les critiques sac à merde. Je suis dedans, moi. C'est moi. Ah, ah, ah.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Unfunny. Oui, mais non. Ah non, il est trop bien. Il y en a d'autres, des mauvaises reviews. Putain. Ah là là. Alors que Stanley Parable, pour moi, il était dans mon top 20. Hein. Il est dans mon top 20 des meilleurs jeux Steam. Vous pouvez voir sur YouTube. Mon classement de mes 20 jeux préférés.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I?
Preachy?
You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear.
No.
Awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down.
Oh no.
Perhaps the Stanley parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Oh. Monsieur. C'est un putain de narrateur en plus, celui qui parle. Une putain de voix. C'est quoi ça?
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button.
Oh.
A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then
Ça
maybe
s'appelle quitter
letting
le
me
jeu.
skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Oh. Ça y est. Ça y est. Il l'a mauvaise. Oh putain. Et quoi derrière? Un escabeau. Il y a toujours un escabeau et une planche en bois. Il y a toujours.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe
Moi, j'ai pas envie de le
it was
passer,
perhaps
moi.
one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly and you can tell me what you
Vas-y.
think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are, or were, or will be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever given your great gift of
Il est
mortal
salé,
and yet
hein.
timeless thought? Or rather, do all of the choices you've ever made,
Je suis sûr que
in
si on
fact,
skip
make
plein de fois
you
ces dialogues,
more
il devient
not this
triste.
kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite. You see, it could in fact be both of
Et
these
je crois qu'en
things
fait,
at
le jeu, il veut
once,
qu'on fasse ça.
that you are both making choices
Il
and
est
not
chiant.
making choices, and that they are both affecting you and not
J'ai envie de te
affecting you at the
passer,
same
mais j'ai
time,
pas envie en
by
même
virtue
temps.
of the fact that you both are and are not making them. Okay, at first, I was leaning towards manifesto, but now I'm going to circle around and slap the treatise label on this one. I think it has much more of a treatise vibe to it. But wouldn't you say that manifesto
C'est que
just
j'ai envie
has
de
a much
l'écouter.
grander sort of tone? It has a mouthfeel that is rich with ambition and history. Ambitious history, if you will. Ah, See, now you've gotten me going back to manifesto. Heavens, at this rate, we're going to be here all day. Okay, look, I have a method
Putain, le
for
nombre
exactly this
d'heures
sort
de
of situation,
doublage qu'il a
and I
dû
do
se taper,
find
le
myself
mec.
in this situation frequently. I'm going to say each word back and forth in repeated succession
Oh,
until I
l'enfoiré.
become sick of one or the other, in which case the word I am not sick of shall be
Alors,
the victor. It is an unimpeachable
je
strategy,
vais pas
Stanley.
aller
It's
jusque-là
rescued
parce
me from
que
disaster in
je me...
countless
Ah,
situations.
moins fort.
All right,
Je me souviens
here
que dans
we
le
go.
premier jeu,
Treatise,
il y avait une fin.
manifesto, treatise, manifesto,
L'enfoiré. Dans le jeu original, il y avait une fin.
manifesto,
Il fallait
treatise, manifesto,
rester devant son ordinateur et appuyer sur le même bouton comme ça en boucle
treatise,
pendant 5 heures,
manifesto,
je crois. Je crois que c'était 5 heures,
treatise, manifesto,
non-stop.
treatise,
Donc voilà, ils peuvent aller loin quand même dans le truc bien débile, juste pour avoir une fin.
manifesto,
Donc j'ai pas vraiment envie de le faire.
manifesto,
Je sais pas combien de temps ça va durer.
manifesto. Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Ooh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should
je sais
become
même
better
pas.
educated
Je crois
on
si.
exactly how Steam works. Perhaps
crois
that
que
would have
si.
been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review, merely because of this very situation. Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review, so that the feature is not widely abused. Look, I would even be okay with Steam altering this particular review
Ah,
so
j'ai
that
envie
it
de...
reads as something more beneficial.
Chut.
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out of here? Where
Ouais.
did the door
Ah, y a plus de
go?
porte.
Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is for us to move on. And
J'ai un touche que
please step away from the skip button to go anywhere other than the skip button. There was a door here before, wasn't there? I swear there was. Where did it go? Can you maybe just ram your way through a wall? Is there any possibility that you could, say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to leave? Please,
No.
I'll take any option at all. I'm asking
Pas
you to
courir.
work with me here. We need a door. We need a door of some kind. I can work with any kind of door as long as it can open and lead from one room to another. I'm going to step away for just a moment, and I'm going to try to find us a door. I don't know how exactly to remove a door and place it in a different wall, but I will find a way, I promise. You just need to not do anything. Don't press the skip button. Please, please, please do not press the skip button. Just wait here for me, and don't press the skip button. Got it? Yes, good. I'll be right back.
J'ai appuyé.
Stanley, please don't push the button
12.
again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times, and there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and
Ça va,
the
Tixi?
button.
Oui,
And
ça
if you
va.
keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here. And more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it. And I have to believe, I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you? I've been thinking, and I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise. Oh my God. And it's all because of those reviews. Those reviews that
Non,
I
c'est
couldn't
toi
get
qui
out
as
of
mis
my
le
head. I
bouton.
just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter
Cookie
so
Nine.
much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine. I have no idea who they are.
Mais le pire, c'est qu'il a raison. Hein.
Ever really matter? But here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The
Il a
merest
raison.
mention of one of
Il a
my
raison.
imperfections, and I become as impetulant as a child, wild and impulsive. I can't help myself. I can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful fury to alter and to change and to break anything unbroken, if only it pleases this one person who made a single negative comment. What does such an impulse serve? For whose benefit is this? And here I am now, stuck in a room, waiting for you
J'ai
to
encore
press
envie
this
d'appuyer sur le
button,
bouton.
and to become frozen in time, knowing that you're going to do it, and that I'm going to be stuck all alone, and that I had the power to prevent it all from happening.
Vous imaginez en vrai comment c'est horrible?
It's all out of my control now. Just you. Just your decision as to exactly when you're going to make me suffer.
Que vous êtes avec quelqu'un et que cette personne, pour lui, c'est tranquille. Il a juste appuyé sur le bouton et puis ça avance très vite pour lui.
Leaving me here. And surely you'll put your own desire to see what's next ahead of my need for company, for companionship. Surely you'll not be moved by my howls of fitful anxiety that you sit with me and just stay here only.
J'ai envie d'appuyer dessus.
Well, you'll be leaving me. Oh my God. And it's all because of those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback.
Paf.
Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week.
Oh.
Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time.
Entendu
Just
un bruit.
sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley, not the outcome. Oh, hello, it's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed
C'est horrible.
opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced entirely from the question of free will that you and I have squabbled over for so long. There could be no one ending, no singular outcome of events, not if all events existed in the same moment. And I felt freed. I felt unburdened by the need to manifest a particular outcome into being. I saw that I could allow myself to exist along...
Allez hop! Ça y est. Il dit plus rien. Je croyais qu'il est mort. Des bruits chelous en arrière. Ah, c'est le détecteur. Ah! Ah là, chat, même moi, ça me fait mal aux oreilles. Ah, la pendule, elle marche plus. Oui, il a déclenché le détecteur. Ah!
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us.
Ça y est, il devient fou.
They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability, it's the unwillingness to examine with a...
Marche plus. Je m'attends à ce qu'à un moment il fasse ah. Le truc horrible.
The end is never the end, 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 is...
Ça fuit. Ça fuit ici. On a cassé le narrateur, je crois. Ah! C'est Portal? C'est l'extérieur, ça? En fait, c'est l'apocalypse, c'est ça? On est en train d'assister à la fin du monde? Oh! Pensez. Ah. Oh. D'accord. Ah. Moins sympa. Suivant. Ah! Ah non, le bouton il est cassé! Oh! Douglas Adams sort de ce corps. C'est qui Douglas Adams? Oh! Oh! Je peux monter au-dessus. Oh la fin, what the fuck! C'est celui qui a écrit H2G2. Ah d'accord, ok. Je peux pas appuyer sur le bouton. Oh! The end is never, the end is never. Ça, j'avais marqué ces trucs. Ok, et c'était une fin. Wow. Ok, ça c'était du nouveau contenu. New content. Bon, avec tout ça, j'ai pas regardé le nouveau truc.
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted.
Et donc là, voilà, on peut faire... New content. C'est vrai?
Oh, good. You notice my sign.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Ah. C'est-à-dire? Il va se venger de nous, je suis sûr. Il va se venger. Tiens, il y a un moustique. Tiens, chais. Je t'ai eu. Nique le moustique. Ça, c'est votre raquette que vous m'avez fait acheter il y a 2 ans. Vous vous souvenez, 3 ans. Au tout début du stream. Vous m'avez fait un don pour que je m'achète une raquette. Oh, ça pue. Ah, d'accord. Oh! D'accord, new content. Maintenant, c'est direct. On n'a plus le...
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra-deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
Oh! Ouais! The end is never the end again.
See, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
Oh. Oh.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Le fern. Ah ouais, le fern. Oh, on l'a pas vu ça, le fern. Le buisson.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it.
Oh, avec plaisir.
I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Je crois que je l'ai déjà fait une fois sur l'autre truc de... Qui est-ce qui a fait ça? Moi. Sur le tableau blanc de la cuisine. This way to the show floor. Ah, vas-y, fais-moi plaisir. Fais-moi rêver. New features. Ça fait buzz. Là. Oh. Oh. Oh, j'ai quand même.
Here we are.
Ah
Go.
ouais.
Try out some of the new features.
Oui. Les t-shirts et tout. J'en veux un. I saw the new content. Je veux ce t-shirt. Ok. Please, no screenshots. Ok. C'est censé être lui, Stanley? Franche bizarre. 0344. Oh. Serait-ce un lundi? Collectibles. Oh là 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 là. En fait, il nous sauce pour rien, il va rien avoir. Oh putain, c'était lui. Le bébé où il fallait appuyer pendant 5 heures. C'est dans le jeu. C'est dans le jeu. C'est dans le jeu, c'est... Ah l'enculé, c'est dans le jeu, c'est pas en vrai. Hear your name in the game. Alors c'est quoi ici? The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. Oh! Trop bien. Vraiment?
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Qu'est-ce qu'il va dire comme connerie? Est-ce qu'il va dire Tixi? Est-ce qu'il va dire Stanley, il va dire? Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it.
Ouais, d'accord, ok.
Here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. Jim. Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory.
Pardon,
If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name.
Oui, c'est vrai, c'est vrai.
Okay, we're doing it again. And this time, let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim.
Oui.
Imagine yourself driving to work as Jim, playing frisbee on the weekends as Jim, staying up all night for a popcorn and horror movie sleepover as Jim, developing a crippling substance addiction as Jim, rediscovering yourself through fringe religious groups as Jim, and finally dying a slow death at an old age, surrounded by members of your cult as Jim. Do you feel it in your soul?
Je suis Jim, là, je suis tellement Jim.
Right now?
Hashtag je suis Jim.
If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Jim.
Yes, you see? What a thrill, what a rush. That was you. The button described you. Do it again.
Jim.
It hits even harder the second time. If this were the
Le
only new
narrateur, c'est
feature
un
in the
génie.
Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
Par où? Je peux pas, faut que je redescende? Ouais, faut que je redescende. C'est moi qui est dessus. Oh, c'est moi! L'animons-nous! Putain, mais et si tu t'appelais Jim en vrai? Bon, personne
I
s'appelle Jim.
suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually
Oui,
save me
voilà.
the work of finishing this feature.
C'est pas faux. J'ai envie d'aller là. Mais je sens qu'il y a d'autres conneries là-bas, mais j'ai envie d'aller là. Épilogue, non, on va pas là. Y'a quoi là? Cercle pour sauter et trou sans fond. Oh putain. Wow. Non mais pas du tout. This free achievement. Button say the name of the player that is playing the game. Ouais. Si, oui, ah si, c'est on est complètement là en fait. En effet. À 9. Il y a les collectibles devant nous. De l'autre côté, N. Il y a le jump circle là-bas. Ok, Q. Il y a le free achievement. Là-bas, il y a un free achievement. Oui! Free, new and easy achievement. Vas-y. C'est du génie. Bordel. Ah non, mais ce jeu, il est parfait. C'est vrai. Pull the lever. Receive your new achievement. No more steps. It just works. Ah ouais.
Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement.
Oh.
Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over
Ah,
the world.
donc on aura toujours cet achievement qui marchera pas.
Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
C'est horrible. Ah. C'est quoi ça? Ah, c'est l'arrière d'un camion, ça. Ok. Bon bah, pas d'achievement.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen?
Un jump circle. On l'a vu tout à l'heure aussi. Saut restant
You know
0.
what? Let's bring the jump circle back
je peux
for
plus.
Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's a... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle? Oh, well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece, then.
Oh, Nick. Collectible. Oh putain, des collectibles. Collect them all. Oh putain. Oula.
Collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
La vision qui tue. Non. C'est une connerie. Il a vraiment... Non.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Ah mais j'ai envie de voir les... Oh non. Oh non, il me faut les autres. Il me faut les collectibles. Il me faut les collectibles. Il me faut les inlocables. Plus rien. Oh, je suis triste. Ah, attendez, et si on fait recommencer le jeu et qu'on revient plusieurs fois ici? Eh. Ça on a fait, ça on n'a pas fait. No screenshot. C'est quoi ça ici?
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step-niece, it is.
Ok, bah merci, ouais. Mais le pire, c'est qu'il a raison. Ça vous est jamais arrivé, ça? Vous demandez... Moi, je crois que ça m'est déjà arrivé... Ça m'est déjà arrivé quelques fois quand je voulais demander à vous. Je fais, ouais, vas-y, j'ai demandé à la vidéo de chat et tout. Je vais sur le Discord et puis je fais, eh, vous préférez quoi? Et puis après, vous répondez tous un truc et je fais, ah merde, j'aurais préféré l'autre en fait. C'est à ce moment-là que tu t'aperçois, tu fais, ah merde, mais en fait, non, j'aurais voulu l'autre. Ah! Non, en vrai, je le comprends là du coup. C'était vraiment un ballon de merde. Opening, rim, deep, infinite. Ah, c'est là le trou sans fin?
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
Il me fait peur le truc. Ça va être une connerie, ça va être une connerie.
You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions.
C'est spécial.
If I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward.
G. D'accord.
Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
Il y a une fin, c'est-à-dire il est pas sans fin?
Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem.
Non, c'est bon, t'inquiète.
Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
Ok.
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for this. Oh,
non, je voulais pas.
You see, I was right. The problem is, the problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there. It goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of...
Oh, ça allait plus vite que d'habitude.
Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time?
Si.
I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above.
J'ai envie d'y retourner.
Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. I really do have so much more to show you and to talk. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where...
Tiens.
Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length.
Au bout d'un moment, il n'y aura plus de trous.
Let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter.
Oui.
Well, there it is.
Ah bah voilà.
The shame of my lie has come to... How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
Oui. Ça marche pas?
Is the, teleport button not working?
Oui.
You sure? Well, I mean...
Marche plus.
I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago. Try it again.
Non, ça marche pas.
Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley.
No!
You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity together.
Non! Non, non, non! Non, 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 reviens! J'ai... Marche pas! Ce bruit. Je fais quoi maintenant? Oh non, j'ai pas envie de faire restart. C'est trop loin. Oh! Je descends! Oh! Et chaque bouton pause est un numéro 2 en chiffre romain. Oh. La tronche. Et ça me fait revenir en haut. Et quoi d'autre? Y'a quoi d'autre? Oh, y'a le badant là. C'est John Cage ça. Y'a quoi d'autre? Autre chose. D'accord.
My head's stronger. Now you're no longer using up the space of my.
Is na mar na eerste bet in de zulp skikken echt kwam met er as het serpes in de schomming er veel was er heel en maar heel lezen. Oh, hier arrive lost ster.
J'ai envie de l'écouter juste pour la... Au montage, je l'enverserai et puis je verrai ce que ça donnerait. Ouais, changer de réalité. J'espère qu'ils vendent l'OST. Je pense pas, non. Je l'ai pas vu. Oh. Oh. Change qui vous êtes. Ah. C'est quoi ça? C'est juste deux jambes? Ah, je suis à l'envers. Ok. Jim. Oh. Ça n'a aucun sens. Ok. Ouais, c'est chiant la musique.
Stanley? Stanley? Stanley?
Ah, oh.
Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodlepip.
To the pit. Oh non! Oh! Encore? Ah! Non! Ah. Je crois qu'il me ramenait au tout début du jeu.
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
Ouais. Qu'est-ce qu'on n'a pas vu? Putain, mais ça va être une VOD de 20 ans. Et demi. Red is the new orange. Orange. Ah, allez, on va aller à l'épilogue.
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it will go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
Bah ouais, c'est ça. D'accord. Oh. Reassurance bucket. Paramètres champion du monde. Trou presque sans fond. Succès gratuit. Non, bah non. Paramètres champion du monde. Ah. Eh mais attends. Paramètres champion du monde. C'est pas le succès, là? Comment il s'appelle? Champion du monde de paramétrage. Placer tous les curseurs de réglage du menu sur tous les chiffres disponibles. Est-ce que ce serait pas genre un truc débile du si on le débloque, ça la porte elle s'ouvre? Vous voyez? Ce serait fou, j'ai envie de tester. 72. Cinq. J'ai envie d'essayer. Ah, traitez-moi de con si vous voulez, mais j'ai envie d'essayer. 80. Oh, c'est sûr. S-E-S-U-R, c'est sûr. Ça, on l'a déjà fait. Ah non, mais il n'y en a pas d'autres. Attends, tu vas pas me dire qu'il faut genre le faire... Ça? Non. Non, ce serait dégueulasse. Oh! C'est vrai? Pensez? Ah! Mais je peux le faire avec les... Ah! Je peux le faire avec les flèches. C'est plus rapide. Ah, mais ça va se faire vite, ça va se faire vite. Réglage de la vitesse... Règle la vitesse de déplacement de la caméra et de la souris. Ah non, non, mais ça c'est l'information de ce que je suis en train de bouger. Ça se trouve, en fait, il faut aussi faire tous les trucs là. C'est vraiment un jeu débile, quoi. Je pensais. Hop. Activer. Ah, si on le désactive... Ah oui, non. Oh putain. Ça va vous trigger le bout de clavier. C'était 80, je crois, non? Ah, je veux le succès. Ça va, toi, sinon? Oh, ça va, tranquille, et toi? Ça va un peu mieux. J'ai un peu chaud. J'ai même très chaud. Il fait combien? Il fait 30 dans ma chambre. J'ai un peu chaud. Tout va bien. Oh putain! Ah oui, d'accord. Afficher les noms d'objets. Oh putain! Ah mais en fait, ça se trouve, c'était ça. C'est parce que j'ai pas fait... C'est ça? C'est peut-être parce que j'ai pas fait ça, non? On va voir. Bah ça, on avait fait.
This is a Stanley.
Hop, vidéo. Voilà. Voilà. Hop. Succès débrouillé. Champion du monde de paramétrage. C'est bon, je l'ai. Et... Ça fait rien. Oh!
Aha! I can see you've gotten the Settings World Champion Achievement. Well done. You've experienced every setting, traveled to all corners of the settings menu. There's nothing you haven't seen. So, Just for you, in the Stanley Parable 2, I'm including an entirely new setting, something called bumpscosity. What exactly is bumpscosity? Well, I haven't quite figured that part out yet, but I just know that you'll be able to adjust it on some sort of slider, and that it'll be available from the settings menu. We'll sort the rest of the details out later. I hope you're looking forward to trying out every level of bumpscosity in the Stanley Parable 2.
Putain. Je me sens con. Bon bah on l'a fait. Je reconnais un truc qui ajoute des paramètres au fur et à mesure que tu changes les paramètres. Salaud. Ok, donc Infinite Roll, ça c'est fait. Tiens, voyons le plan. C'est quoi ça? Je sais pas. Jump Circle, fait. This map, lol. Free Achievement, fait. The button that says the name, fait. Merch. Oh, ça on l'a vu, fait. Setting World Champion, ça on l'a fait. B2. The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket, ça on l'a vu. 3 Office Decoration. Oui, si on l'a vu. Oui, si on l'a vu. Épilogue. On l'a vu. Collectible. Infinite Hall. Exit. Ok, bon bah, il n'y a plus qu'à aller à l'exit. Le bucket, c'était quoi? C'était le petit... Il est où? C'était une affiche qu'il y avait sur un... Ah merde, attends. Regarde vite fait. Okay, le Reassurance Bucket, le B2. Ah. Ouais. Il est là-bas. Oui, voilà, c'était la grande affiche qu'il y avait là. Ah non, c'est carrément un truc. Ok, ok. Ah, faut qu'on aille voir. Faut qu'on aille voir. Oh. Je crois que c'était la grande affiche, moi, juste.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I am happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
Oh. Vraiment? De vrai, de vrai? Oh. Ah!
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And
Je peux me barrer avec.
Can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a
C'est le
person.
compagnon cube dans Portal.
The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they?
Ah mais lui, il est
All
plus
this
charismatique
and
quand
more
même.
await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
Ah, je peux me barrer avec. Il va m'engueuler, il va me dire non, repose le seau. Ah non. Je peux le
Does
garder.
anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
Ah oui, je valide, oui. Et donc l'exit... Il était là, non? Pas sur le côté. C'est sur un côté. Says Gym. C'est maintenant, du coup ça a changé, c'est marqué Says Gym. Il est où? C'est où l'exit? Je me balade avec un seau maintenant, j'ai l'air con. Exit, Ah, c'est derrière moi, c'est là-bas. Sortie, c'est là. mets le saut sur ta tête, le monde cesse d'exister.
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
Ouais. Mais c'était classe. Oh, genre.
So, Stanley, what do you think?
Fait peur.
Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single
gros fly.
coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience.
Je devrais le mettre du popcorn dedans.
Are you ready?
Ouais.
Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
Ouais, il a mis un de chaque en fait là-dedans.
Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement.
Ouais.
Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2.
Épilogue.
Kidding, Stanley. This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect.
Bah c'est le Deluxe.
With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and
Ultra Deluxe.
uncompromising conviction, this is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Oh, what the fuck. Ce jeu, il est sans fin, il est ouf. Ouais.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
C'est un new game,
Stanley
ça.
worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is
Alors, mais
what
putain.
employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation.
Ah.
Something was very clearly wrong.
D'accord, donc en fait là c'est un new game qu'il nous a fait faire,
Frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable
mais
to
il a
move
rajouté
for the
les petits
longest
trucs.
time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were
D'accord,
gone.
donc en fait là c'est un new
What could
game
it
normal
mean?
en fait.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Juste qu'il
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
C'est bon.
Stanley picked
Oh!
up the bucket.
Ouais. Stanley ramassa le seau. Je peux plus le reposer par contre. En fait, ils ont juste rajouté les délires du Parabole 2, là, du Stanley Parabole 2. Et... Oh, regardez. C'est n'importe quoi. Et vous croyez que du coup il y a plein de trucs nouveaux avec le...
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Oh! Attendez, on va faire le truc normal. Voir si ça change.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
Ouais.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the
Et le
boss's
saut.
office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him, always. The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk.
Ah ouais.
Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding
En vrai, ce jeu est ultra flippant.
Yes, this is
Pourquoi donc?
certainly the most logical explanation.
Ouais. Ah, je veux la fin normale, mais avec le seau dans les mains.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Facility.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Both. Tu veux dire en termes de codage?
And Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock.
Toutes les lignes de dialogue qui ont été enregistrées.
Monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears
Oh no!
as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Ouais, t'inquiète pas, saut.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do?
La pauvre
What
bucket.
kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place?
Oh.
These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
Ouais. Mais viens, saut, on s'en va.
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Le saut s'instruit de l'expérience. Wow.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
Allez hop! Un high five de saut.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support.
Oh.
What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed?
Oh non.
An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave.
Oh.
Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place, not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Oh, et on recommence. Donc on peut pas s'enfuir du coup du truc si on a le saut.
Even now, Stanley's
Ah
office was a
putain
distant
la
memory.
vache.
What
T'avais
did
le
it look
nombre
like?
de trucs quoi qu'ils ont quoi, dans ce jeu, c'est impressionnant.
And a painting.
Bon.
Was it a painting or a photo?
Allez.
He could no longer recall.
Ah chute. Oh, et du coup maintenant c'est en rouge. La suite est en pause. Ah ça c'est bien trouvé. La suite est en pause. Retour au menu. Et du coup, Stanley Parable 2, voilà. Yes. Oh putain la vache. Too much humour. Et il est vraiment excellent. Et je suis quasi sûr que là j'ai à peine frôlé toutes les nouvelles fonctionnalités de Stanley Parable, du coup. 2. Hein, parce que mine de rien, c'est un Stanley Parable 2, carrément. Eh ben écoutez, moi je vais pas tout vous révéler. Je vais pas non plus en faire un let's play, je pense. Je vais vous laisser le découvrir, même si ce jeu est un peu cher, faut l'avouer. Hein. Il a je crois qu'il est à 25, un truc comme ça. Attendez, je vous dis ça tout de suite. Il est à 22 €. 22 € moins 33% si vous avez le jeu, si vous avez le 1. Si vous avez Stanley Parable, tout simplement. Mais putain, faut. Alors, les mecs pourraient se dire, oui, il est un peu cher quand même pour un jeu de couloir et puis un jeu humoristique et tout. Certes, mais dites-vous quand même que derrière, il y a un acteur qu'il faut payer et qui a fait un travail impressionnant. Il y a une équipe qui se sont bien cassé le cul pour trouver plein de trucs humoristiques. Et franchement, le jeu est pas trop dégueulasse. Donc, visuellement parlant, je veux dire. Et au niveau du son non plus. Et ils ont proposé beaucoup d'autres choses. Donc voilà. Donc ça s'arrête ici pour moi pour cette découverte de Stanley Parable 2, enfin de Stanley Parable Deluxe spécial. Comment il s'appelait ça déjà, Ultra Deluxe. Si vous avez kiffé, évidemment, n'hésitez pas à acheter le jeu si vous voulez y jouer et à partager, à mettre un commentaire, à mettre un pouce. Je te fais plein de vidéos. Je te dis à la prochaine. Ciao.